I think the United States actually initiated the warming of relationships, the relationship with India. And I think it was the US private sector that was behind it. I think Washington was in its rut of thinking of the Indians as irritating and counterproductive to American designs. When the US private sector woke up to this spurt of growth in India, and as Rita pointed out, a spurt of growth with a huge population, a huge market, a potential huge market for the United States. India has become the principal client for Boeing, for example, outside the US in terms of civilian aircraft. So the private sector in the US, I think, was looking for an improvement in the sort of government-to-government relationship as well. And with the Kargil conflict in 1990, which struck so many of us as extremely dangerous, as Pakistan and India had both tested nuclear weapons only a year earlier, the mediation by the United States, which was successful, that Strobe Talbot led, was followed by something nobody internationally noticed. Strobe stayed behind in India to start talking about a revolutionized relationship between India and the United States. The clock ran out on the Clinton administration, but the second Bush administration, for which most foreign policy initiatives had failed, by, I'd say, about 2005, the beginning of the second President Bush's second term, was looking for a success story somewhere. And it devoted enormous energy and the talents of a number of very, I think, energetic and smart professionals in Washington to negotiating a better relationship with India through the proxy of an agreement on nuclear cooperation. After India's first nuclear test in 1974, the United States largely organized the non-proliferation system as we know it today and organized India's isolation in nuclear terms. And this effort was an effort to try to release India from the nuclear purdah in which it had been placed after 1974, in the belief that this would yield a revolutionized overall relationship with India. It was successful in 2008, and all of the other nuclear powers, nuclear technology powers, agreed to bless the agreement. It hasn't yielded actually everything Washington was hoping for. Why? India's quest for autonomy is what it always was. So, for India, when it's useful for India to do business with the United States, it will. But for example, on weaponry, India supplies itself from a very wide range of sources, from Russia to Israel to Europe to the United States. And it will never trust the United States sufficiently, in my view, to become solely reliant on the USA for anything. That runs against every fiber of its foreign policy and strategic thinking. But was the agreement between India and the US a win for both sides? Yes, I think very much so. Indians, when polled, show themselves to be the most pro-American population anywhere in the world outside the United States. Only Americans are more pro-American than Indians. But it doesn't mean that the Indian elite, particularly the Indian political elite, is free yet of its worries about US domination.